Hey everyone, I'm finally back, hopefully to complete another video on this Bible study that I had wanted to present to you. I apologize for having taken so long since the last video, but I've had a lot keeping me busy, and I just have, every time I've sat down to do it, I have gotten distracted or interrupted in some way or another. So I'm going to try this one more time. Hopefully I'll get it out this time. Okay, if you recall, we were in Psalm 18, and I had showed you how the Lord brought my attention to death and hell, as we see here, and how death was followed by hell in verses 4 and 5 here in Psalms. And we also see that the Lord had brought me to Revelation 6, verse 8, where we see the fourth seal, and the pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. Okay, while I was here in Revelations, I felt that I needed to refresh myself on these other seals that were previously open. We've got the first, second, and third seal. Of course, you can see over here, I've got wrote out to the side. Of course, we know the first seal is the white horse. And I'm not going to get into anything about that at the moment, but the Lord showed me some things about that at another time that I need to share with you on that. And then we have the second seal, which is the red horse, and we know that's the horse of war. And we have the third seal, which is the black horse, which is the famine. So here we have the Antichrist spirit, war, famine, and then in the fourth seal we have death. Okay, the next thing I want us to look at, what the Lord brought my attention to, was over here in Psalm 18, where we see in verse 4, the sorrows of death and the sorrows of hell. Well, the Lord took me to Matthew chapter 24, where we see the disciples had asked Jesus, "Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world?" Now, which this here translates end of the age, okay? Okay, so here we see the disciples asking, and then Jesus goes in to some detail here, and he says, "Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye not be troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in divers places." Now here's what I want to point out. All these are the beginnings of sorrows. Here we see that word, sorrows, just as we saw in Psalms 18, the sorrows of death and the sorrows of hell. And I asked the Lord, I said, what is the connection here? And immediately I got it. If we look back in, let's see if I can get there without making a big mess here. If we look back in Revelation 6, we see here, when the first seal is opened, we have an Antichrist spirit that comes into play here. And I saw and beheld a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. Well, most of us know that to be the Antichrist spirit. Now, I will say this, referring to what the Lord had enlightened me to. Back when the Pope was visiting in the Middle East and went to Israel and Jerusalem, I read an article. The Lord had brought my attention to these seals. He's brought me here several times, and I think now he's putting it together for me. But anyway, the Pope, when he made his trip, I read an article that morning. For some reason, I couldn't sleep. I got up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I thought, well, I'll just look up, see what's going on in the news and how it relates to prophecy. And I read an article about the Pope taking his trip to the Middle East. And what really caught my attention was at the end of the article, it said, all eyes will be on the man in white. And that just, it's like the Lord was prompting me to understand that there's a connection with this white horse and the Pope, the man in white. Now, I'm not saying that the Lord told me he's the Antichrist, because that's not what I feel the Lord showed me. But what the Lord did show me and put it in my spirit was that the first thing when this came up, I could not shake the term abomination of desolation. It just kept repeating over and over in my mind, abomination of desolation. And I said, Lord, is the Pope the abomination of desolation? And I know I don't feel that the Lord told me that, but what the Lord did tell me was that he was setting in motion what would bring the abomination of desolation. The Pope was setting in motion what would bring the abomination of desolation. Okay, having said that, and we know that this is about an Antichrist spirit going across the land, I want to point out, I did a little homework, and where we see him, and he has this bow, but no arrow is mentioned. Bow is symbolic for a falsehood. Okay? I think, hold on just a minute. I'm going to try and look back to where I made notes on that. Bear with me, please. Abomination of desolation. Yes, I wrote it down right here, where I wrote, Pope is setting in motion what will bring about abomination of desolation. That's what I feel that the Lord was giving me the understanding of. Now, we know that all this has to do with the Antichrist. And there are things that have to be set in motion for the Antichrist to take the place that he does. This video is getting long. I don't want it to take so long to load. So I'm going to cut this off and I'll be right back.